It's been a while, but it doesn't matter because I'm back. Here I am. Okay, so this is going to be about my little brush. Hopefully I will answer a lot of the questions that I've read. I know I said I would do a video that will address a lot of the questions that you guys have been DMing or commenting on some of the posts. But so I always try to hashtag all the stuff that I use on in the comments on my posts. But the this video will be about my little friend, my little Raphael, which is basically what I've been using for probably at least 20 years. So there are a couple Raphaels. The one that I use is the 8404 that has the orange cap, orange tip, and the other one is like a beige tip. That's fine too. The difference is basically the point of the brush itself. I guess you call that the brush is this one, the orange tip, the one that I use, is a little bit shorter. The beige one is a little bit longer, just a little bit. I don't know if anybody knows the difference, if you use it, but it's really not a big difference. It's just a preference. I say preference, but it doesn't even really matter. But I just happen to use this one that I really like. It has, in my experience, it holds the ink. It holds the most ink without really messing up the tip. Like some brushes will hold a lot of ink, but you will not have a nice sharp point because the whole thing just basically is, just so overloaded. Whereas with the Raphael that I have, it does hold ink way back here in the well and allow you to use the tip without having it be oversaturated. But anyhow, so basically, yeah, that is the brush that I use, is the Raphael 8404. I use a 2, but I've also used 3s and 4s. They all have, really good tip. But I think the most important thing is that you really don't necessarily have to invest in a really expensive brush. There are a lot of synthetic brushes that you may have seen me or other inkers use or other artists use. Like, I think this is the Pentel. They have a lot of these synthetic brushes where you can still get really great tip, great point on the brush, and it's very reliable. So I think before you focus too much on the exact brand of the brush, it's great to have these and try it out, see if you like them or not. But the most important thing, the best result you'll get is, you're gonna hate me, but guaranteed best result you can get is practice. And you can probably use any tool you want. So yeah, I know you don't want to hear that, but it's true. So anyhow, so this video is about my just some basics about my brush. So the Raphael is the brand, size 2, and I know what you're going to ask next. What ink do I use? I use the Ultra Draw. I've tried the Universal as well, but I like the Ultra Draw better because it doesn't seem to dry as fast as the Universal, which also leaves like a thicker residue, or it dries up too fast. And this gives me a little bit more working time. So, you know, but again, not a huge difference. It just happens to be my, you know, my preference. And also one of the biggest problems that, and this of course is all like, you know, traditional inking. Like if you're doing digital, none of this applies. So this is old school, and this is where you're going to run into a lot of, you know, like, you know, complications with, you know, with your caveman supplies. But so so the ink I use is the Ultra Draw, and they do come in these little containers, which are great. And I just dispense into, and you don't need any fancy ink bottle. Like I'll just use an old, like this is an old Tiger Balm bottle. This one still has Tiger Balm or Monkey Balm, Tiger monkey, whatever. But basically any little container. Like I will just dispense a little bit, maybe just enough to where when I dip my brush, just so it doesn't go past, just kind of dip it to this depth. So that is, yeah, and it's nice because I don't dry out this whole thing. Like I'll just use whatever I need for the day and just cap whatever is remaining, and I'll just keep this on the side ready to, you know, if I need more. But oh, and so that's my basic brush. And I guess we can cover the ink stuff later. But so in case you want it, I'll just go ahead and cover it now. Ink. If your ink gets a little too thick, all I do is add water. So that's all I do, add water, just drops at a time. So I just have a little like water, like a little eye drop, and just drop, you know, just one drop at a time, and just so it's not too diluted. And it's fine if it's too diluted, then you just let it sit out and it'll dry. But so, oh yes, what I was going to say about the ink is I like this one best. I've tried a whole bunch. I guess maybe about a year ago we bought a whole bunch of samples of ink to try, and just to test how well it will hold up to erasing, because you still have to erase. I usually ink on original, so I will have to erase the pencils afterwards. And this has held up the best after erasing, so that's why I still use it. It's, you know, again, the same ink I've been using for over 20 years. Okay, so to address a couple other questions that has, you know, some of you have asked about the brush. What if your bristles get damaged, or it gets like all dried out? This is just another brush I've left out, and it's just, you know, like maybe kind of thrashed already. It's super, super old. But how do I get the sharp point again? And honestly, you guys, I don't really have any fancy tricks or any fancy, you know, solutions or formulas that I use on these. The two things I use, water and saliva. Sorry, is that gross? Hopefully not. If you find that gross, you shouldn't be reading comics, because honestly. So this is all that I do, and it's the same thing I do after I clean my brush too. But so just dab on your finger and just shape your brush. So yeah, just shape it like so. And if you need to, like if the bristles are really, really dry and you need to moisturize it, you can use coconut oil, maybe just, or, you know, conditioner to kind of soften it up, wet it and soften it with some conditioner. And, you know, once you get it back to being somewhat pliable again, use this fancy little trick. So yeah, so you get the point back onto the brush, and just let it dry. Just let it dry, and it will hold the shape. It will hold, you know, keep your brush in the shape that you need it, giving it nice fine point. So, yep, there you go, guys. And how do I clean it? I know that there are some other, there are like brush cleaners that you can use, brush soap and such. But all I use, and I hope this might make other people cringe, but I just clean it under water, just room temperature water, so you don't dry out, damage the bristles too much, and just a little, if it's cold, it's not going to clean it too well. But basically run it under water, and I just do like either sideways like that. Never go that way. You know what I'm saying? Don't go against the flow of the hair on your brush. So pull it this way and run it under like just gentle running water, and just keep doing that and back and forth, and just tap 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 tap. You can do sideways, this way, but never that way. Not a good idea. You can if you want, it's your brush, but that's how I clean it until you get all the ink off. And then you can use, I use paper towel and just kind of dab it and get, some more ink out, and then just repeat. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. And then, of course, make sure once you have it, so it runs clean, right? Runs clear with water. Dab it on your paper towel. Dab it on your paper towel and get as much water off of it as possible. Just keep dabbing and just let, let the towel absorb all the water. And then, of course, yes, back to the old trick of keeping the point. So I'm taking the break. I'm off for the night. So, yep, the old, yeah, universal solvent, right? Saliva. Okay, so that's it. Dab it, get a nice point on it, and just let it rest. And when it dries, it holds holds that shape for you, holds that point for you until the next time you're ready to work. Okay, so that's the basics for my brush. And how long does it last? Geez, I mean, my brush will last me forever, several issues, a year or two, so long that I really can't remember how often I have to replace it. And how do I know when it needs to be replaced? It's just when, and I'll set it aside because I can always use it for other things like dry brushing, or you can still use it to fill in blacks. But when it's not like as sharp anymore, you're doing all these tricks and stuff, and you you can't seem to just get the same fineness or the same finesse that you used to. So yeah, so those are some of my basics for the Raphael, and my basic brush tip, if you want to call it that. It's not the only way, it's not the right way, it's just what I do, it's just how I do it. And you can before I move on, the other question was, some other folks were asking, do I like this better than the Winsor Newton, which I know that a lot of other inkers use too, old school guys. I don't know. I mean, I've tried it, and it's not like better or worse. I think it's just as good. So whatever works for you. I mean, this just happens to be the brand that I use. There may be a whole bunch of other ones out there that I've never heard of, and it works great for other folks. But if you want to know what I use, this is what I use. And it's not the only way. So there you go. I hope that answers some of your questions, and I'll do a few more follow-up videos, you guys. I know I've been bad, but I'll try to be better. After all, 2020, be better, be better, be better. Okay, so that's it for now, and I will try to do one a week. Okay, guys, so maybe a week from now. I'll see you in a week from now. Thanks, guys. Good night.